Hello everyone. This is just a short lecture giving you a few of my tips for brainstorming your special occasion speech. Brainstorming topics is usually a relatively straightforward process. You look at, for informative topics, you look at something that you really feel is important for us to know about, whether it be new technology or whether it just be something that you think is interesting or important and we need to know about it. For persuasion topics, it's something that you care about, it's a social issue, something that is really established in the world as something of importance. Special occasion speeches are a little bit less straightforward than that. In fact, you can talk about so many different things in special occasion speeches that it seems like it's too open. You feel like you have no guidance and you're not sure what direction to take it. So, these are just going to be some of my personal ideas and tips for how to figure out what you want to give your special occasion speech on. The first thing that I want you to do is look to your purpose. Figure out kind of what you want to do with your speech. Do you want to remember a past event? Do you want to honor heroes, celebrate beliefs and values, or offer some kind of inspiration or encouragement? We've talked in class about what each of the possible special occasion speeches will do. So that shouldn't be an issue. That should help you narrow down what kind of speech to do. What purpose do you want your speech to serve? That will help you to figure out which of the speeches you should do. Okay? So think about your purpose overall. For speeches of introduction, what I want you to think about first is consider your friends, your families, and your personal heroes. People that you think you would feel comfortable introducing. People that you feel may deserve an introduction at some point in your life. Then ask yourself, would they have something to talk about? And in relation to that, on what occasion might they be asked to speak? So think about their specialties and what they like to talk about, what they might be doing with their lives. That will help to give you some context to set up some of the key points of introductions. You know, why they're there, who they are, why you're the one introducing them. Think about those connections. By asking yourself some of these questions, you should be able to narrow down who you would like to introduce. For a welcome or a farewell address, think about an event of some kind that you would want to be a part of, or maybe an event that you have been a part of. In order to think about that in particular, you might want to ask yourself, what are your future goals? What do you want to do with your life? And that will help for you to set things up. So for example, my future goal is to be a professor. My goal is to teach at the college level and to do research at the college level as well. So, if I were to welcome someone or wish them farewell at a particular event, it would likely be a communication research conference. So that narrows my field considerably. Maybe you've seen welcoming or farewells for an event that you think could have been done better, or maybe you would just do them in a different way. That's absolutely fine. Think about your experiences, things that you are currently working towards, or things that you have already done that you can work into your welcome or farewell address. For the presentation speeches, presentation of awards, think about whether or not there is an award that you hold in high esteem. Maybe it's the most valuable player trophy, an MVP. Maybe it's an academic award. For example, I don't know why, I'll hold Dean's List for college students in high esteem. Think about awards that you think are really important. Then ask yourself, is there someone that you feel deserves an award? It could be an award that you hold in high esteem, or it could be an award that you make up for them. Something that you feel they deserve to have, but maybe doesn't exist. Which leads into the next question to ask yourself, is there an award that you think should exist? So, consider these questions when it comes to presenting an award, and feel free to get creative with the awards that you present. It could be something in real life that you may never get to accomplish, but it could also be something that you just make up and that you feel needs to exist. For an acceptance speech, What is an award that you would like to receive? What is it for? Think about your future goals and what you really want to accomplish with your life. So, then look for awards that you may want to receive, or feel free to make one up if that is what you should choose. Basically, what is something that you would like to be remembered for? An award is a way of solidifying a particular skill or a particular ideal that individuals achieve. That award is an indication for future generations that they held up to those ideals. Basically, what are your strengths as a person? That's another question you can ask yourself. So basically, what would you like to win? And what would your acceptance speech be like should you win that award? That one's pretty straightforward. For commemoration and commencement speeches, what event do you feel deserves to be remembered? It could be events that already exist, or it could be something that you feel doesn't get the recognition that it deserves. Commemorate something. For commencement speeches, again, that's more specific, like we talked about in class, but you can still commemorate a graduation or an anniversary of a graduation should you choose to do so. Basically, what do you consider to be really important? That's for the commemoration speech side. But on the commencement speech side, think about when you graduated. What do you wish your speaker would have told you? Do you wish they had been funnier? Do you wish they had given you more genuine advice? What would you really like to hear from a commencement speaker if you could go back in time and change it? All of these are options for commemoration and commencement speeches, ways to think about where your topic is going to go. For tributes and eulogies, think about who you look up to. This can be a little bit difficult because you may choose to eulogize or pay tribute to someone who's very emotionally close to you. And that's okay. But you also have to maintain control. You have to be able to balance things out in order to still give me an effective speech. So you can also ask yourself, in relation to that, who do you feel has left an impact in their community? And that could be a local community or worldwide. Maybe it's just a member at your church that you feel really deserves some recognition. Or maybe there is a world leader that you just think is incredible. It's wide open. It is. But you as a person have to decide who it is that you really value as an influence in the world. And then, is there someone that you would be honored to pay tribute to or eulogize? A personal hero that you look up to that, if they asked you to eulogize them, would it just floor you? I personally would be honored if any of my former teachers or former professors asked me to eulogize them. I would be honored I'd be honored to eulogize anyone. It's a huge honor. But if you could pick someone, who would it be? And then you can eulogize them, pay tribute to them. I want to clarify, they do not necessarily have to have passed away if you choose to do a eulogy. You would simply put yourself in that scenario. In that case, you would more likely fall on the tribute side anyway, but if you really feel strongly that you should eulogize a living person, by all means, go for it. For an inaugural address, this one is a little tricky for people of our age, just because we generally think about it as an important office. But you can still do an inaugural address. Think about, essentially, what would you like to be when you grow up? If you can decide what you want to be, what office you'd like to hold, your inaugural address will start to take a little bit more shape. And related to that, what kind of an impact would you like to have on the world? Remember, an inaugural address is not only establishing your ethos and your authority, but it's also establishing the framework for your goals in the future. So think about what kind of office you would need to hold in order to have that specific impact on the world. For a keynote address, again, this one is a little bit tricky for people of our age. But what I want you to think about here is, what's your specialty? What is your expertise? As I mentioned earlier, for me, it would be communication. I could give a keynote address at a communication conference. I could give a keynote address at a forensics tournament very easily. That's my specialty. So I want you to ask yourself what your specialty is. So what kind of an event would you maybe be asked to be the keynote speaker for? Maybe you've been to a conference or an event that's really left an impact on you, that you feel you could give a keynote address for. By all means, go for it. You can even take us back to that particular date and time if you wanted to. Take us to that conference and event that left such a huge impact on you and give us the keynote address. That way, you can actually show us what that event was all about without us having been there. The experience won't be exactly the same, but it will still leave an impact on us. So that's your opportunity to spread what you took away from an event in your life. For the after-dinner speeches, is there a persuasion topic that is too trivial for a persuasion speech? I hesitated to use the word trivial because lots of things are very, very important, but think about things that are less heavy topics. For example, you wouldn't want to give a funny after-dinner speech on assisted suicide. That is a very, very, very bad idea, and I really hope I don't have to explain why that's a bad idea. However, you could do a after-dinner speech on hobophobia. So a fear of homeless individuals. Alright? That's still a tough topic, but it's one that has a lot of humor potential. So that is an option. What's a topic that you believe in and can joke about? Pretty straightforward. So some of us have specialty areas that we can joke about. For example, I as a gay man can joke about gay topics. That's a specialty of mine. What are your specialties for humor? And what do you have personal experience with? That second and third question blend together in many ways, but really think about that personal start to humor that I discussed in the lecture for the 14th. For the sermon, what are values that you hold to be true? Are there values you discussed in one speech you could talk more about in a sermon? What do you think your audience will relate to? Basically, what are values that you feel you could talk about? This is your chance to really give a sermon. Be that big confident religious leader or spiritual leader. Be that individual that you look up to who embodies those values and beliefs. My last tip for all of you, and this isn't related to any one speech in particular, be creative. Some previous special occasion speeches that I've experienced, self-eulogies, eulogizing yourself can be a lot of fun because you know exactly how you would want to be eulogized. That's really creative, it's fun, and an relatively easy thing for you to do. For example, when I did my special occasion speech, I chose to pay tribute to Madeline Kahn. For those of you who are Mel Brooks fans, she is kind of the female creative force. She was in Young Frankenstein. She was in Blazing Saddles. She's done a ton of comedic work. But I thought she was under-recognized. So I felt it was important to pay tribute to not only male comedians, but to female comedians of that era as well. Someone in my public speaking class as an undergrad paid tribute to Bert and Ernie's marriage. So it was talking about gay marriage. It was just after gay marriage was legalized in Iowa. So it was taking Bert and Ernie as these quote-unquote gay icons and putting them into a marriage context. It was smart, it was funny, it was very creative. I want you guys to consider this the last chance you have to really show me what your creative juices can do. So, keep that in mind. Don't just give me something super straightforward. Stretch yourself. Get outside the box. And remember, be bold, be vivid, be you. This is your last chance to show me you as a speaker, and I really want you guys to show me what you've learned throughout the course of this semester. So, that's my discussion on brainstorming your special occasion speeches. Email me if you have any questions about them.